Man, this was supposed to be the nice, easy, relaxing. I only have to go to work 3 days a week. It's been a cluster and a half, I tell you what. But I got today off, so I'm gonna stream a little, try to relax some. Someone on one of the discords I'm on asked me how I painted my dead zone terrain. So they asked me how I did this. Because they posted some photos of it, showing it off. So I wanted to make a video showing how I did it and painting the rest of the terrain. So you can see she's pretty darn cool. I'm really happy with this terrain, to be honest. I was thinking about 3D printing a whole table of the Corvus game terrain stuff, but actually after playing with the original stuff, like the official stuff, I really like it. So I don't know. I still might pick up the Corvus game terrain stuff and print some of it out. But yeah, the ability to be like, here's a building, and then like, here's the other half of the building is really cool. You know, like that. And then it's just like this all collapsed in on itself, you know. I do think if you try to use this stuff for like a non-destroyed city, it wouldn't be as cool. I think it works really well as like this is a destroyed city kind of thing. So maybe I'll pick up the Corvus stuff and use it as like a non-destroyed city kind of deal. But so I got that. That's what I'm going to be doing today. So I've got this box here. This is the rest of what I built out of the terrain. Got a couple of pieces, and I've got these kind of like wall pieces, and then I've got another busted corner. So like, you know, if this is a broken building, I can just be like, oh, there we go. Now this was a whole building at one point, you know, and it looks cool. So last couple pieces here for my table. This is 2 sets of the terrain from the 2 different starter boxes. It's what all of the stuff on the table here is. All the stuff that I've made out of it, and I have a tiny bit left. So I've got little bits of scatter and stuff too, and like a couple, I don't know, like barricades and things like that left that I didn't use. But all right, so for this I'm gonna need some crappy craft store paints. These are like 70 cents for like a giant bottle from hell. I'm gonna need a darker gray. I'm gonna need some kind of lighter gray. These are both from April Barrel, but you can see that like, oh, apparently that one's even a gloss. Who knew? These are just crap that was in my craft bin, like, that I've had probably for like ever. So I sprayed the whole thing brown. This is a spray from the Army Painter. You can see it's not like perfect, right? You can see a little bit of gray like down in the cracks and stuff, and that's fine, right? There's a little bit of gray there in the corner. You know, it's just stuff that I missed when I was spraying it because I was spraying it at night, and that's fine. It'll just add to the mottled effect. It's fine. Not the end of the world. I'm going to shake this garbage up. I'm going to get some of it in here in my palette. I got to get to one of those like pop-it palette things everyone's using now, the like fidget ones. They seem really nice. I need to order myself one off Amazon. They're like those fidget silicone like popper things. Everyone's using those as palettes now. I have a really nice wet palette my husband got me. I should use that for more stuff, but definitely not for this kind of terrain. Okay, so this is a knackered super shitty brush. Hello! It's like half glued together from like PDA that didn't get all the way out of it. This is like a super garbage brush. It was never a nice brush. It probably cost something like 30 cents. But what I'm doing is I'm just breaking up the bristles a little bit because they are kind of a little bit glued together. So breaking them up a little bit. And we'll wind up with some kind of knackered thing like that. That's exactly what we want for dry brushing. So, or stippling. I'm going to get a little bit of my paint on here. Not going to bother pulling any of it off. And I'm just going to start stippling it on. And you'll see some spots are kind of thick, some spots will be kind of thin. My goal is something like 70-ish% coverage with this. I don't want absolute coverage. I don't want there to be like an obvious pattern or anything. Just kind of going all over. And you'll see that because the paint's going to be thinner in some areas, it's going to shine through a little bit. Whereas in other areas, it's going to be thicker. And the color is going to end up having better coverage and be darker. So I kind of want to end up with something like that. So just going to do that all over. We're just going to hit pretty much everything with it. Same kind of deal, right? Rating 70-80% coverage. We're not aiming for like amazing coverage. Right, we want some of the brown to show through. I think my dog has got into the trash. Oh, Papa, what are you doing? Papa, what are you doing? No, leave that trash alone. No. Ay, ay, ay. When we moved, I threw all of our closet clothes into just trash bags. And last night, I moved a bunch of them into the living room. So we were trying to find the remote for our like weird robot bed thing we have. I thought it was in one of those. It's not. I have no idea where it is. So yeah, he's like, I'm gonna dig through the trash bags that are filled with clothes. Yeah, I'm making fun of you. Yeah, I'm making fun of you. You in here investigating a little bit. I see you over there. I see you over there. Trying to get into trouble because I'm home. I know it. He'd try to get into trouble even if I wasn't home. I just wouldn't be here to catch him. But yeah, we just want to go around and get all this stipple action on. Nice and easy like that. Yeah, I will say I was originally kind of confused what to do with this dead zone terrain, right? Because you just get like a big box of it, and it's like, okay, well, build what you want now, kiddos, right? And I didn't really want to build something that looked like, you know, looked like weird half building structures and stuff, because that's what I saw a lot of people doing. And I was like, I don't feel that. Like, that feels weird to me that's like the city. And then I started to play around with the pieces a little, and I got this idea that I would be building, I would instead build like broken building pieces, and then I can fit them together in different ways. So I'm just going back and hitting a couple more spots. Alright, now we're going to put our boy here off to the side, and I'm going to do another one while he dries. It isn't important that he be like super dry, but I don't want him to be like absolutely wet, so we're just going to work on another piece, because my goal is to get one piece done. Really, I should have done this one so I can show you guys how I did the roofs, because I was going to do the roofs in a similar modeled thing, but honestly I ended up painting the roofs like static, and I actually think it looks really nice with the modeled on one side, the static on the other. I think it looks really nice. I think if I had done the roofs and modeled, it might have been too much. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just keep hitting this whole sucker here. This piece here in the middle, I'm going to end up painting that in a dark brown. Same thing with this bar here. So I'm not going to super worry if I hit it. Could leave it in the primer color, but I do like the brown being different than what's in the walls, even if it's just slightly different. So yeah. But yeah, man, fuck, it's been a crazy week. It's supposed to be a nice easy week too. It's funny, I had this big problem at work that I was solving. Uh, and I was agonizing for like days over this problem knew I had coming. I was like, man, I know I have to solve this problem. This problem's been in this project forever. It's just been inherent to the concept of the project. Like, you know, I was like, I know this issue's going to come up. I know I need to figure out a way to programmatically solve this while I'm working on it. And Monday I sit down and I'm like, okay, today's the day I gotta tackle the problem. Alright, I gotta do this today. I known about this problem for a while. Gotta do it today. I sit down, so I'm working on it. About an hour into working on this problem, I realize I can solve the entire problem with one set of parentheses. Like, I shit you not. Like, one set of parentheses completely solves my problem. And one, that's amazing. Yay, that's awesome. It's actually way fucking simpler than I thought. Two, holy shit, I agonized over this problem for weeks. Well, it was more like days, but like it was like a looming like stressor in my brain because I knew it was coming. I solved it with one set of parentheses. I was both elated and also like ready to jump off a fucking bridge. Alright, I'll just use the rest of this up. It's my super knackered paint napkin. So yeah, so one thing, I did the inside of the roofs. I didn't want to paint the inside of the roofs black because I felt like it might make the interiors a little too dark. So I ended up doing them the same model texture. I think the end result looks fine. So once it starts to dry a little, we're going to wind up with it looking like this. You can see in some spots it is dry, but in a bunch of spots it's not dry. See it like there and there and there and there. That's fine. We'll let it go. Just so we can work on this one. There's some wet spots, really. Alright, let's do another piece while we wait for it. Sorry. I just realized I had another little piece I could work on while I waited for this to hopefully finish drying. But yeah, it was crazy. Crazy. Super happy to have it done, though. It's really good. So for deadzone, there is a single player mode apparently, fighting the plague, where you fight like zombies and it has like this sound mechanic that's kind of neat. Someone on one of the discords I'm on, actually on the official, like, or not official, the like unofficial Mantic, I don't know, like friend discord or whatever, the like Mantic fan group discord, someone mentioned it. I checked it out. It's pretty cool. It made me really want similar kind of rules for the other teams though, or the other groups. So I've actually started working on solo play rules fighting the Marauders. So we'll see. Hoping to have those done by Sunday so I can try them out. So my goal is to have this terrain done and the solo play rules done by Sunday, and then we'll try them out on the channel. So the Doomed has a really interesting way of doing solo rules where a lot of stuff is like their whole interaction mechanic is like random occurrences, so it feels really dynamic. And that's how they make up for the fact that the AI is very simple in that game. So I think what I'm trying to do is add special abilities per faction that does something similar, and it's going to give them kind of like, you know, oh, this faction will feel like Marauders. You know, this faction will feel like Plague. I think that's what I'm trying to do with it, versus create a like actual AI, if this then that, if this then that. It's going to be a much more like, hey, you did this action, so this thing is going to happen. instead, you know. And hopefully the goal is to like have it give the AI some flavor, right? Right, it's not to make like super competitive, like you could play, like this will play a tournament for you kind of thing. It's to, you know, give you some kind of flavor to your team or to your enemies. That's the goal with it in my brain. So yeah, stuff's almost dry. Once I use up the rest of this paint, we'll hit it. So yeah, so I have stuff like if you shoot at the Marauders, they have like special actions that can happen, or if like they're shooting at you or stuff like that. I think it's kind of cool. I think I'm gonna try putting it on like a because originally I was gonna code it up and throw it up on my website, but I think I'm gonna put it on a like a template. Like a non-HTML template, like maybe something like PowerPoint or something, in case people wanted to download it. Alright, that's the end of that. So we'll hit our brush, and then we'll start on the next layer. So the next layer is going to pretty much be the same thing, except we're going to be using the lighter gray of the craft paints. So the first one was our dark one, this one is our light one. And our goal with this one is a little bit better coverage, and what should result in is a modeled texture where you can see through this one, see darker spots, and then still see brown, right? So essentially it's like 3 layers. That's kind of like the goal. So yeah, just gonna pop, 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 pop. Right, and if we miss any areas, that's okay. Right, that's just an area with more modeling. Right, but all this is like pure stabbing motion. What I want to avoid is dragging the brush. Right, I want like just pure stabbing motion like that. And that's kind of our end goal. That right there, because that will dry up, and then we'll have some areas here of like darker. You'll have some brown showing through. Like that. That is our end goal. Yep. Yeah. So that's kind of the goal right there. Go to the inside here, just going round and round and round and round. Alright. You can kind of see I'm doing this like up and down kind of thing on this one. Right? Alright, but my goal is to not drag the brush ever. And we'll wind up with something that looks like that. Oop. God, I'm not even on the camera. We'll wind up with something that looks like that. Yeah, we'll just keep it going. Now, one area that's very easy to forget with these is the tops of the edges here. So we need to make sure we hit those, because they're very easy to forget with this. And then you'll wind up with these brown edges, which is what we want on the areas of damage, because we want to call them out special as damaged areas, but we don't want that everywhere. So there we go. And that will be our end result. And we'll just keep going. Yeah, just kind of moving my hand randomly, making a point not to drag the brush ever. Right? And we'll wind up with some areas that have more coverage and some areas that have less coverage. Right? when you put it all together, it should look still good. You should still be able to see it. See? Just like that. Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. Yep. And then we'll hit the other side. And then the details we're going to pick out, and we're going to paint them flat because it will actually add like if you paint everything in this modeled way, it's going to look bad because it's just going to be too confusing to the eye and too jumbly. But if you break out a couple of flat colors with this, it's going to look really nice. So one of the things I'm doing specifically, because what I see a lot of people do with dead zone terrain, I see them paint it so that the buildings are like different colors or have like colored stripes or something like that on them to give it some like variation. I'm avoiding that on purpose because I want to be able to mix and match these buildings and put them together so they can be any building. I don't want them to wind up in a situation where, like, you know, the green building has to go with the green building. I want to be able to be like, okay, you know, that's a building right there. Right? And now I have like this little like alcove building that I could use, where I could move it over a block and be like, okay, this is a building, and something ran through the middle of it, right? I don't want it to be like, oh, well, I guess this wall is green, I guess. That's weird, whatever, you know what I mean? I don't want to wind up in that situation, so. Purposely kept all the walls the same color. Plus, if this is some kind of, like, I imagine the GCPS probably manufactures these things on some, like, world, and then just, like, drops them off, right? Like, boom, here's a settlement made out of tiles, right? I imagine that's what this terrain is supposed to represent. These kind of, like, ruined settlements and stuff, not like bespoke construction, but like, you know, kind of like automated or like AI built cities, right, for like settlers and stuff. Like in my brain, that's what this terrain is. Oh crap, I forgot to hit this pile of rubble. We gotta make the rubble match. Alright, so the rubble's gonna miss its other layer. Oh well, it's okay. Because like if you were to build like a whole city, right, or like mass colonized areas, you'd want it to be like 3D printed, right? Like you'd want it to essentially be able to be the same and just be able to drop it off. Because that way, if you have multiple like colonies on the go, like you can just give them instructions on how to fix their shit when it's broken, and you don't need like tech teams and all that stuff to go out and do it for you. So you'd really want a situation where that's the case. And I guess I should have put that wall a different way. Kind of on its side now. Oh well. And there we go. Yep. Just like that. And just like that. Yeah, that should be good. Do you have any walls that are done? Oh, you do. Do we have any? Yeah, we do. Okay, might as well hit it then, I guess. Since I still got the paint. Save me from having to do it later. But yeah, it should be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to getting some more Dead Zone on. I really liked what I played. The dice adding and removing mechanic is very fun. It reminds me a lot of Verret would. And that was, to be honest, the dice mechanic was actually probably my favorite part of that game. So I really liked Ferretwood. It was pretty cool. I liked that like you could like pray to your gods and stuff, and they would potentially give you boons. And the overall theme of it was really fun. Like the idea that you're in this like never-ending forest that's kind of like rotting and dying around your villagers, and they're trying to like make sense of it. That's a really cool setup, you know. But the dice mechanic for Ferretwood was really fun. And Deadzone has a very, very similar dice mechanic, where you add and remove dice versus modifiers. I think that's fun because the modifiers kind of like, in my opinion, modifiers kind of the complicated dice roll, and dice rolls inherently are supposed to be really easy, right? Like when you roll the dice and you see it come around, like that's the exciting moment. You're like, oh shit, I got the 6 or I got the 8 or whatever. So when you have to modify a dice roll, you know, I feel like it gets in the way of the inherent fun of the dice roll. So what I'm getting out now is I'm getting out some kind of like dark gray or light black. This is dark neutral gray from Pro Acryl. I really like these paints. They're really nice. The dropper bottles are fucking dumb. So these really stupid tops on them. But the paints themselves are fantastic. They are nice and liquidy right out of the bottle. They cover really well. Like, they're really good. So what I'm going to do is like do something similar to if you were painting a house now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to edge the areas between the two sections. So in a house you do this so you don't get paint on the next section. A very similar thing. But I'm going to use a small brush, and I am going to hit the edges here between my modeled area and where my roof is. See? Just like that. And I'm also not going to bother, I don't want to do the underside of this, but I do want to do the underside of the lip. Right there. That I want to do. And if there's any overspray between the two, that's fine. Not going to worry about it. That's perfectly fine because it's underneath the roof. And, I mean, really no one's going to be looking under here. I also think I just put a big black line down the middle of the panel. Nope, I didn't. Okay, good. Alright, so I'm just going to edge it like that. I'm going to do both of these in that way while I have the paint on my brush. Just like that. Just going to hit it. So the walls and stuff use a lot of paint. That's why I was using the crappier paint for them. Whereas these like roofs and stuff won't use nearly as much. So I don't mind using the more expensive miniature paint on it. There we go. Alright. Now that I've got it edged in, I can go ahead and start filling in the bigger area with a bigger brush. So the reason I really want to use a bigger brush here is because if you use a small brush on big flat areas, you will get brush streaks. So technically you're going to get brush streaks with this too, but it's not going to be nearly as bad as if you use a big brush. So I'm putting a little bit of paint on my brush and then hitting it and then going back over it like that. So if you want to really reduce brush streaks, you'll only paint from the wet edge, which is to mean you'll pick one edge to be your quote-unquote dry edge, and then you'll paint in one direction, essentially. I don't think it's super necessary for this, but it is a way to reduce brush streaks. But yeah, you can see it a little bit in the light. See it? It's because it's just such a flat area. As it dries, that'll be less noticeable, but it is going to be there. And I'm fine with it. You're not going to see it once it's dried, right? Like once it looks like that, it's going to look fine. Right. Even more so because I'm going to seal all this stuff with some kind of clear coat. So after I finish painting all of this, I'm going to hit it with some kind of clear coat. I'm probably actually going to use a satin clear coat on this because I want it to be pretty hard wearing. And clear coats are tougher the glossier they are. So super matte clear coats are not as tough as a glossy coat. So what I'll probably end up doing is using like a satin coat on this. And if the satin shine bothers me too much, I'll hit it with a gloss coat afterward, or I'll hit it with a matte coat afterward. But yeah, and then we're gonna do the roofs. This roof here, I'm gonna just start doing the middle because I still have some paint, and this roof's gonna suck up paint because it's just all these little grooves and stuff, so it has a ton of surface area. So since I still have the paint on the palette, I'm just going to use it up. And I'm just going to stay away from the edge, so because when I start stippling, I am going to hit the edge on this. I know myself. But yeah, no point in letting the paint just dry, so might as well use it up. Okay, so we'll set that guy off to the side. Alright, now I've got a couple of colors I'm going to do in addition to that. The first one's actually a metallic color. So this is dark gunmetal from Malifaux. This is a really nice color. It's a very very kind of like blackish metal. It's super nice. I was going to do these in a more brighter metal, but I don't know. I had this out already, so I figured I would give it a go. I kind of just bought this color, and I actually really like how it looks. I think it looks really cool. So same thing though, right? I don't want to do this whole thing here, this whole metal thing in metal with this tiny ass brush, because I actually want to accomplish other things today. So we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to edge it in. And I'm keeping the clips this gray color because I think they look cool. I actually think the clips and stuff in this terrain actually really add to the like pre-manufactured 3D printed kind of thing. I would actually be really cool if Mantic kind of leaned into that and actually gave you like, I don't know, like half printed walls and stuff. That would be pretty cool. Like maybe this building was still being printed when the city fell under attack or something. Because I think that's really, like, to me, that's kind of like the appeal of this terrain, because it does look like that. Looks like some kind of pre-manufactured thing that would just be thrown on a colony ship. And they'd be like, here you go. Have fun. You know, so like because it looks like that, like I kind of wish Mantic would lean into that. That'd be pretty dope. They did do a bunch of like alien trees recently that were really cool. That are like plastic bits that are really neat. I don't think I really want alien trees for this though, but they're cool. They're cool models. And magnetizable, which I don't, like, I love magnets, but I don't know if I would ever magnetize my trees. But they are definitely super cool. And they are like, lots of times everyone just makes like, you know, pine trees and conifers and shit. So the fact that they're like actually alien trees is really neat. I think that's pretty cool. So, but I don't know if I want alien trees for my city, so I don't think I'll pick those up. We got some other nice bits though for this terrain. There's a bunch of scatter terrain that kind of matches the appeal, like the design of it. That's kind of neat. I'm going to make a little bit of custom scatter terrain. I'll probably do that on the channel. I want to make paint. I want to make like plant pots, like what you'd see at like a mall. And I've got some. I got a bag of aquarium plants off Amazon for like $4 or something. There we go. Now, do we want to do the ladder? Did I glue the ladder on? Ah, I glued the bottom. Damn it. I was gonna be like, it'd be a lot easier to paint if it wasn't on. Do we want to do the ladder in this color? Yeah, I guess we probably should, huh? Yeah, they've got some neat bits of scatter that kind of go with this. I was going to look around for STLs and see what I could find for scatter too. Maybe there's something cool I could print for it. Because I have a bunch of Warhammer stuff, but it looks so Warhammer. And I like the Warhammer aesthetic, but like it's almost, it's gonna sound really dumb. It's almost like a little suffocating. The aesthetic is for things like Stargrave or Deadzone, because like those have more of like a cyberpunk feel, you know, in my opinion. Like if I was playing Infinity, I definitely wouldn't want to play it on Warhammer terrain, you know. But I kind of want something that's a little more like generic cyberpunk. So, yeah, I don't know. Playing around. I might do some scatter 3D prints, but I'm definitely going to make some scatter. Because I want to make like planter boxes and stuff with weird alien plants in them. Like what you'd see in like a mall or something. And I've got those aquarium plants for that. I saw someone else did that for their Deadzone board, and I was like, that's the coolest fucking idea ever. So I'm gonna copy them. I saw it over on Instagram. It's really neat. Now, anytime you paint a ladder, you gotta paint the bottom of the rungs too. You always forget. All right. To be honest, ladders are a pain in the tail to paint. And I'm sure I will have missed some tiny little crevice surface somewhere for that, you know? Alright, we're gonna set her down. I'll do that guy. Oh, I guess I still have to do this. So we'll get more silver out, I guess. I'll worry about that guy later on my own. Just so I can make some progress on these other guys. So, switching to the big brush again. I'm just going to boop all over this. So if I miss little spots or something on this, I'm not super worried about it. It's just going to look like rust because it's going to be the dark brown that I primed it in. Like if it was like bright white or something, yeah, I would 100% do like a perfect coat, right? But since it's not, since it's going to be the dark brown, I'm fine with that. I think that'll look cool. I just want to make sure I don't get it on the other sections of the build, you know? Oh man. Make sure I use it all up just to make sure that she's good. Get all the edges so I forget to do those normally. Alright, so that's that sucker done. So, a couple other colors I want to do on this. Okay, so I want to do some of the details in a dark brown. That's not the primer color. So it's a little bit darker than the model areas you're going to see. Just because I think that's going to add a nice bit of visual interest, even if it's going to be very slight. So this is Darkstone from Army Painter. I fucking love this color. This is like a god tier color. This is one of the best colors Army Painter does. It's funny, I was having a conversation on one of the Discords and people were talking about what their favorite paint line is. And I think I really like Vallejo for the paints. Now I haven't tried any of these new Fanatic paints Army Painter did. And they look amazing, by the way. I haven't tried those yet. But I really like Vallejo for the coverage, but I like Army Painter for the fucking bottles. Army Painter has made the best paint bottles forever. And it's really funny, like I don't ever see anyone mention it. But the paint bottles from Army Painter are like phenomenal. Like they have nice dropper tops, they never break. You know, they come with like agitators and stuff now. Like, they're great, just wonderful. I mean, my parents bought me a paint set during COVID, a like mega paint set, which was like the best idea to buy because I wasn't able to go out to the hobby shops and buy paints. So the fact that I got that is still fantastic. Like that paint set's still legitimately probably one of my favorite gifts I've ever gotten. Like it was really nice during COVID, I tell you. But the funny thing is the dropper bottles for Army Painter paints are just so nice. Because my Vallejo paint bottles break all the goddamn time. And it's really annoying. Like, you know, when I showed pictures of my paint rack, I had a bunch of them that had duct tape on the tops of them. And it was to put the fucking top of the dropper bottle back together. Because it kept breaking on me. Alright. So, a little bit of darker brown than what's going to be poking through the walls. And I'll hit this guy down here. And I love these light pieces. They're one of the best things in these terrain sets. They look really cool. And they add a nice bit of like, this is an outdoor thing. Because sometimes I feel like some terrain looks like it could be like inside of a ship or something. Especially like the ruined walls and stuff, like with Warhammer. I feel like sometimes the terrain really could be like the inside of like a giant capital ship instead of like an outside thing, which I mean is cool in and of itself, right? Like that's cool in a different regard, but it usually doesn't look like, you know, like an outdoor mall or something. It's kind of what I want this to look more like. So out here in Hawaii, we have this area called Salt. And it is a bunch of fancy like fancy condos? No. Yeah, I think condos is the right word. It's in like a big like basically like hotel building, but you live in it. I think the word is condo. Out here we have a bunch of condos, and they're really big, fancy, super like high-end looking buildings. And at the base of them is this like really hip and chic kind of area to go and get food. So there's like little stores, and there's like fancy restaurants, you know, like but like hip, right? And like a cool kind of area. So in my brain, like what I'm trying to make is something that was like that, but like 3D printed by a company, right? Like they could drop one of these like shopping areas on every planet they're trying to colonize, right? Like Space Amazon could just be like, here's your salt, and it would be the area like in you know, like in downtown Honolulu kind of thing, right? And they would just sort of like drop it off of a spaceship, you know, but it would be this kind of like sort of like urban and chic kind of shopping area with like drinks and clubs and, you know, stuff like that. But also like in the future, you know. So that's kind of what I want this train to. That's like in my brain, my idea for this train, I guess. My motivation or inspiration, I guess, for it. Right? Like Space Amazon is like, okay, you guys get your prerequisitioned like fancy dining area, you know. Like it's one of those things that would be like on the brochure to become a just sign up to be a like a colonist, right? There'd be like, you know, high-end dining resort experience, you know. It would be something like that, right? And it would be this like this area they would just drop off the ship, or like robots or something would come and set it up, you know, and it'd all be like 3D printed. So like if you went to any other colony, you would have like literally the exact same stuff, you know, like with the same menu and, you know, the same stores and everything, you know. And all the restaurants and stuff were like chosen by AI based on, you know, appetite of, you know, demographics of colonists and, you know, all this crazy shit. Alright. Oh! Stretchy! Alright. So, where we are right now, you got something that looks like this. Apparently there's supposed to be fans on these, but mine didn't come with fans in either of the boxes, so I guess they don't put them in the box. So in the end we got something that looks like this. And now we need to start adding a little bit of details to it. I'm going to just fix one area really quick that I just saw, because otherwise it's going to trigger the hell out of me. I apparently forgot to paint one of the surfaces in here. Alright. Now, I don't want to add a ton of detail to this, right? Because I don't want it to just be like crazy, super mega detailed. What I want is I want to call out some of what I consider like the big features. And to me, for a lot of these, the big features are the fact that the walls are like destroyed. I think that's kind of one of those things that I really want to like draw to the player's attention. Like, oh man, this area is like busted, you know, but it's not like super ancient kind of busted. It's like, you know, like the lights still work, but, you know, yesterday like a giant monster ran through the wall kind of thing. So that's what I want to do with it. I'm just using up the rest of that silver really quick, since I got it on the brush. Don't want to waste the paint. This will just make me finishing this piece later easier. There we go. There we go. That piece is like my extra leftover paint piece. So I really want to draw your attention to the broken bits. The really easy way to do that is actually call out the broken pieces itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some kind of bright metal that's like a different color from everything else. So I'm not going to use this metal anywhere else except where things are broken. And in this case, this is Victorian brass from Scale Color. I just love the Scale Color metals. I think they're amazing. So And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the rebar on these. And what's going to happen is the rebar is going to stand out a lot because this color is not going to be used anywhere else. Now I am going to hit these with Agrex or a shade afterward so I can highlight some of the detail and stuff in them and kind of like darken them down, but they will still stand out versus everything else because I'm not going to use this kind of color anywhere else. And I'm going to do the ups and the downs on these like that. There we go. And now when I set this down, it's going to draw your attention to the broken piece, right? And you're like, oh, this city's like knackered, you know? That's kind of what I want. All right, and we're just gonna do that pretty much on all the pieces. Anywhere there's some like kind of exposed bit or thing like that, like rebar or something, like even down here on this this pile, see there's like these exposed metal beams. We're going to do those in the same. Right, because maybe the outsides of these buildings are actually like some kind of plastic, and like maybe they have like some kind of like 3D printed internal structure thing, and that's where these are from, right? So maybe that's like done in a different kind of hardier material. Like maybe that's actually metal, and the rest of this is all like some kind of like concrete or something, right? Like maybe it's just all these wall sections are like some kind of like pre-built thing, and they just like open them out of the package and go floop, and like they just make a building, and then they cover the whole thing maybe in concrete or something like that, right? Like some kind of weird space building or technology or something. But I just want to draw your attention to the pieces that are not that are like the broken bits. So we're going to let that sit for a minute, and I'm going to grab yellow because I want my street lights to be yellow. Now with these street lights, there's actually a light on top and a light on the bottom. I don't know if I want to paint the lights on top. I think that might look a little too weird. I think if you just paint the light on the bottom and say the top is like the cover, it might look pretty good. Because I did one of these on... Because you get one of these street lamps in each one of the sets. So I did one here. And I think that looks pretty cool, like that. If I did it on top, though, I think it might look a little weird. Yeah, I think it looks more like a street light if you just see the bottom. But then on top, it might look like a landing light or something. So, we're just going to paint the bottom in yellow. And then I'm not going to bother doing the lines around the window. So when I hit this with Agrex or a shade, it will it'll fill in around the line, and it'll still have some definition, but it won't have as much as if I painted it. And frankly, painting lines on lights is just a fucking pain in the ass detail. Like, it's one of these details I hate painting. Like, there are very few details I don't enjoy painting, and lines on lights is one of them. The other one is ropes through skulls. Oh my god, ropes through skulls is my least favorite thing to paint. Like, especially when it's like someone has like thonged a bunch of like leather through the eye sockets and it's like coming up the head so they can hold the skull. Oh, it's such... I fucking hate painting those. I have no idea why, but like when I see them, I'm just like, no, please, no more freaking skull ropes. Skull ropes are my least favorite thing to paint. Alright, so we're gonna get that painted. Now my next step, right? Because the stuff's actually almost done. My next step is to hit it with Agrex or Shade. Now, what am I going to hit with Agrex Earthshade? Am I going to hit the walls with Agrex Earthshade? The answer is no. The walls, in my opinion, are done. What I'm going to hit with Agrex Earthshade is I'm going to hit all of the brown sections and any section that has exposed metal. I'm not going to hit these sections. I don't feel like it would really add anything to the dark metal, but it will add a lot to these like exposed metal bits. And what it's going to add is going to look like that. So see how they're kind of like weathered down, but still kind of like standing out? That's what I want. I don't want them to be this bright. I want them to be more like that. So it should add a really nice kind of look to that. Like that. So those are still drying, so I'm not going to hit them with Agrex Earthshade yet. But that is a thing that's going to happen. I don't know if we'll get to it today. But I'll pull it over just in case. The thing I am going to hit them with is a paint I can never freaking find. There it is. I swear this paint like actively hides from me. Is I'm going to hit any areas that are broken walls with Cygor Brown. Because I want there to be some visual damage to the wall. Now, I'm not going to do that on the roofs. I'm not going to do it on the roofs. I'm going to leave the roofs flat because they're darker. I'm just going to do it to anywhere there's broken walls. It just occurred to me I don't have a single section of broken walls that I painted. Oh, good job. Okay, the only one that has broken walls is here and here. I'm not going to make you wait while I paint those. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the Cygor Brown and just do this kind of pattern. So, just going to kind of feather it along all the edges like that. And what that's going to do is it's going to give like a little bit of like a stipply kind of streaky line. So see how like it's not like a perfect line, it's just like a kind of line. And it's also a darker color than the color's throwing through, right? Because I want it to stand out versus the spots on the walls. I don't want it to just look like I forgot to paint an area. I want it to actually stand out. So you can see it here, right? You can see it here. You see the coverage isn't perfect. Like up here you can see it only hit that area, and the middle is not as covered, right? But that's what I want to do, right? That's what I'm going to do on the walls in theory next. But since I don't have any of those sections, what we're going to do is we'll just do the Agrex Earthshade shit, I guess. And then we'll call it. So, I'm going to grab some Agrex Earthshade, just going to put it on these things. This is going to darken these down, this is going to make these a little more brown, but I think it adds a nice bit of like actual wear and tear. And I do want these to stand out, but I think if I don't put anything over them, I think they stand out a little too cartoony for me. Especially if I'm going to be like damaging the line on the edge. You know what I mean? I kind of want them to have some damage color too. So do the same thing here, like that, like that. You can see on these pieces it really makes it stand out. Right. We're at the other sides just to be sure. Like that. And then I'm also going to hit the brown, the dark brown areas. So like these. Because I feel like these have a lot of nice detail in them. And the Agrex Earthshade will help pull it out without having to paint it all. Go. And that is also going to include this lamp. So I'm just going to hit that with Agrex Earthshade as well. So one thing, I normally do washes for like all the parts of my buildings, but with using this stippling effect, I really don't think I need washes on them. I think they look cool. Yeah, all the details aren't like super mega apparent, but I think they have a really nice look. So I'm actually not going to hit them entirely with washes. One of the areas I am going to make a point to hit with wash though is this light, so that it picks out that ring. So I can, ooh, that's still wet, okay. Okay, the light's still a little wet. So she might be a little janky, but yeah, just gonna hit that area. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna call this piece done, because that one's all done. Looking pretty sweet. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna call this piece done as well. So gives me 2 more done pieces for the pile for when they all get top coated together. Which honestly is gonna probably be this afternoon if the rain holds off. And then yeah, I've just got this guy left, and I've got this guy left. So you can see this actually goes pretty quick when you're not trying to explain it, and if you were just to pure batch paint, you could knock it out really fast this way, and do a whole bunch of terrain really quick. But honestly, I really like painting terrain, so I don't mind if terrain takes a little while longer, but it just occurred to me there's a lightning bolt on this. I could paint that too. Let's do that. Well, I have some yellow out. It's going the wrong way, but you know, that's my fault for building it the wrong way. Now, if these weren't glued together, I could take this apart entirely, but I glued them together so they're really, really strong. I also want to magnetize them down to the board itself, because I have 2 galvanized steel sheets here and a 2-foot square for boarding actions, so I want to magnetize them down for that. But I haven't 100% figured that out yet. I think it'll probably involve something like every corner gets one of these steps, and then I put a magnet in each step, like zoom, and then I'll put like a step here, and then it'll be like thunk, like that. But haven't gotten there yet. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call it there. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed how I do this terrain stuff. I'm going to go finish this stuff up right now, and then probably do some work on 3D printed stuff. So I've got some 3D printed knoll ladies that I'm gonna soup up with a bunch of machine guns and stuff. It's gonna be pretty cool. I'm gonna have some future knolls I might use as marauders for Dead Zone. Oh. Shit. I knocked this guy over. He's very cool, but his sword broke, so I have to find him a new sword. Shit. Anyway, cool model. But I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Thank you guys for watching.